Welcome to the Prescription for Divine Health podcast. You are listening to season 1, episode number 7. On this podcast, we help you with faith-based wisdom and instruction from a spirit-filled perspective on health and healing. Today, we will be discussing dieting. We will go through the different types of diets, how to have and maintain success, and where does God fit in all of this. So stay tuned to hear more.
This is the Prescription for Divine Health podcast, where we help you with faith-based wisdom and instruction from a spirit-filled perspective on health and healing. This is our space to connect with people like you, to encourage and inspire you to live the life God meant for you to live, healthy and whole spirit, soul, and body. Here are your hosts, minister and health strategist, Dr. Andrea Dr. and Dr. Lauren Carroll, physician of internal medicine and pediatrics.
Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Dr. Andrea here with Dr. Lauren, and we are back for another episode here on talking about Prescription for Divine Health, but talking about the different ways people eat, specifically in the area of dieting. But before we get started, I want to acknowledge our sponsor, which is Agape Life Clothing Company, which is one of myself and my husband's businesses. And in that, it's in that clothing line, you're letting God be God inspired in your life and demonstrate your faith lived through your clothing. So you're wearing clothing that represents you and God's power in your life. So you can check out that organization and check out some clothing there at www.agapelifeclothing.com, AGAPE, the word life, LIFE, and then clothing.com. And you can on to the topic at hand. I'm sorry, say it again.
So make sure you stock up for the summertime.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Good plug. Yes, you can get
Right.
the t-shirts and things as gifts and represent your faith, talking about you're healed, you're whole, you're well, and things like that. So let's jump right on into this. And the first thing when thinking about dieting is such a huge topic that virtually affects everyone in everything. So we're going to try to pull out some high level points. We can't exhaust this topic. We could literally have a whole podcast just on dieting, but we're not going to do that. We're going to try to fit this in within this next 30 or so minutes to really kind of give you an overview of dieting, eating regimens, and how to integrate God into those things. So I did think to start off talking about what is dieting, because everyone has a different definition of what certain things are. So where did I go to find my definition? Trusty Google. And
Dr. Google.
Dr. Google, exactly. I know that
not really.
Doctor. It shouldn't be, but it is. But you can get a good definition really quickly, a few different places. So looking up, I don't really like the term diet. And I know Dr. Lauren has says the same thing before in past episodes. I can't stand the term diet, but for all intents and purposes, we're going to be talking about it. But this definition tells you 3 different ways that people see what a diet is. The first one is the kind of food that a person or an animal or a community habitually eats. So that's regularly eating the type of food, whatever type of food that they're eating. The second definition was a special course of food to which one restricts oneself. Pay attention to that word restrict, either to lose weight or for medical reasons. And then the third definition is to restrict oneself to a small amounts or special kinds of food in order to lose weight. So I did think those were really good definitions because they spoke to different motivations for the way that you eat.
And I think you could have, along with those definitions, if you take a step further, there's different kind of diets, such as like a fast food diet, things that you really don't think about, but something that you do all the time, correct?
I hope you don't have that, because that'd be... Well, there was there was a video. I used to show it in one of my classes at the college. Super Size Me.
Yep.
The
Saw that one.
effects of
Yeah,
a
that was
fast food diet.
gross. Oh, that was so gross. My goodness. But you know what? I think that people actually eat like that. So just the premise behind that documentary was, how long was it? Did the guy, it was like 6 weeks or so that he had 3 meals from a
6 to 8 weeks. It was
fast.
supposed to be longer, but
Yeah.
he couldn't
Yeah.
do it because he was getting too sick.
Right. He ate fast food for all 3 meals from one particular restaurant.
Meals, snacks, everything.
Right. Right.
And he was a relatively healthy individual, and he just monitored how his health declined as a result of eating fast food all the time. So it was good. I mean, it's a good teaching aid. I mean, I used it in class, and it was a great teaching aid along with other movies and documentaries, because there's quite a few out there that are actually in the health space. I know one that came out, I can't think of the name of it. You probably can let me know about being a vegan vegetarian.
I know there's tons and tons and tons of
It was
those.
a
Yeah.
relatively newer one, and a lot of people went vegan because of it.
Oh,
I can't think of what it's called.
yeah, I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but when you're looking at documentaries like that, you have to take them with a grain of salt because generally they do have a pointed or slanted view. I know that particular one was actually done. Uh, a lot of the sponsors were
What
certain
the
types
health?
of companies.
What the health?
Yeah, what
What the
the
health?
health? There you go.
That's
Yeah,
it. What the health? Yep.
and a lot of people with that documentary, they actually turned vegan,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine. But what you should do, I had, like, once again, when I was teaching my healthy eating class at college, what I ended up doing was I had them analyze all the different documentaries, different ones, and you can actually look up reviews like, is this truthful? And what the hell, you'll see that it's not exactly as truthful as what you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And people fact checked it. And then they also went back and saw all the biases based on who sponsored it and all these different things. So we have to be very careful about what we actually take for truth when it comes to those documentaries and things.
Right. You have to have, you should always have some kind of skepticism these days, because everyone, for the most part, has their own type of agenda or political slant towards certain things. But, if you're a believer, you've got the main filter of all, and that's the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, you got to operate in discernment. We see that so often, even now, with things that people put in their body, on their body, that you really have to be mindful. If you get a check, if you don't have peace about it, and you have no natural reason why you shouldn't love whatever it is, listen to the Holy Spirit on the inside, because there is definitely a reason why you're getting a check or kind of like a stop in your spirit for certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Exactly.
need to not overrule it. Some of us are so used to overruling the Holy Spirit in our life in all areas. If he's asking us to go say something to somebody, tell somebody Jesus loved them, minister to them, or getting back to what we're talking about, we know we're not supposed to be eating certain things.
Yep. And my main scripture, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, or chapter 3, verses 5 through 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not unto your own understanding. Acknowledge him in all your ways, and he will direct your paths. And some versions say, seek his will in everything that you do, and he's going to direct your path. So that's something that primarily you need to do.
Right. Yeah. And that scripture lines up with having discernment. We know that discernment comes from the Holy Spirit on the inside of us. There is a spiritual gift, a 1 Corinthians chapter 12, spiritual gift of discerning of spirits, which is has elements of discernment in it. But pure discernment is just listening to the Holy Spirit and what he says and doing what he says as well. So definitely we can put some resources in the show notes in and around that. I think I have in the past shows put some things about listening to the voice of God and things like that. So whatever time you're looking and or looking, I keep saying looking, but anytime you're listening to this, I always will update the show notes of new materials and things that we have that will help with some of the things that we're talking about. So moving right along, when we're talking about diets, we just define what a diet was. So pretty much everyone has been on some diet, some shape, form, or diet, or eating lifestyle, eating regimen. I know we talked about eating lifestyles in a couple past episodes. I'll put a link in the show notes to that past episode. I believe it was fairly recent, within the last 2 episodes. So about, I don't know when you're listening to this, so we'll put a link in there so you can see it, because you might be listening to this. We would have 100 episodes, and we'll refer back to
Amen.
this one so you can get it right. So different categories of diets. There's so many ways of eating. There's so many diets that are actually out there. So putting them in categories actually helps you to kind of decipher what we're working with, what we're dealing with. And I personally believe everybody should not necessarily live by a diet in the way that we hear it in society, but live by a eating regimen is a better way. But we know that can also be a definition for diet as well. So some of the categories, and I'll jump right into it: belief-based dieting or eating regimens. So that's a diet based on some type of belief that you have. So if you're a Buddhist, if you're Hindu, if you're Jewish and you believe in kosher, eating kosher, vegan. Some vegan is trendy right now because of different things, but vegan people that are vegan believe a very specific moral thing about eating. So that's why they eat the way they do. It's not just to lose weight, where we see more people doing that side of it and not even caring about the moral side of it, which I believe they should call those vegans something different,
Yeah, I was about to
like
say. I was like, a lot of people will
weight loss
go.
vegans.
Yeah, right. I think many people do veganism these days for the health benefits and not really, I guess, caring about things of the environment, things of that nature. But you're right. I think it should be probably 2 different categories, because I'm sure there's some people who are vegan who will wear leather and wear furs and not even think anything of it.
Yes, they will wear all of that and then some, and then be totally vegan and not even, it doesn't even cross their mind how it's connected. So that makes me feel bad for the vegan people, because the reality is, if you meet a true vegan that has a moral compass for veganism, they're very passionate
Mm-hmm.
about what they believe. And to have somebody that is, kind of not as passionate as them, I know is hard. And then another example is religion, Seventh Day Adventist. If you've never heard of that particular religion, is a segment of Christianity. But in there they have, and there's research that shows with Seventh Day Adventists that they are some of the most healthy. They live the longest. They have or higher mortality. Am I saying this right, Lauren?
Nope, nope.
Mortality rate.
They have a lower mortality. They have lower
There you go,
mortality.
lower.
Lower.
Epidemiology was not my favorite class ever. I not hated it, but yeah, when we learned about that, it wasn't my favorite. But yeah, but they're known. Research has shown that they live longer. We'll say it easy
There
like
you go.
that.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
That they live longer because they don't do alcohol, they don't do caffeine, and they only eat holistic foods. So that's belief based. Sometimes some of us have an eating regimen based on our beliefs. A lot of times it has to do with being vegetarian or vegan. I can even put Christianity in there, because some people will eat based on what they see in scripture, which can be belief based as well. So another category is calorie and weight control diets. And that is a huge category, because it encompasses the low calorie, low carb, low fat, all those different types of ways of eating. And just to give you some that's like examples, low calorie diets are like Nutrisystem. Has anybody heard of that one? That's an older one, I think.
Right now it
Um,
is. Yep.
Now it is. Yeah, it's been around forever. I thought I never really understood it, but they kind of, their branding is a little bit more medical ish, or it was. You don't even see commercials for it anymore.
Because there's so many other kind of like meal replacement plans right now that are easier to get. So who knows? And actually, probably after this broadcast, I'll look up that company just to see how they're doing.
I'm sure they're still out there. It's I think they're like the OGs. They had been out there forever. And Weight Watchers is another low calorie one. And Weight Watchers, you have to buy foods, or well, you don't have to buy foods, but it's based on points. So every food that you eat has a point value. You have to stay within your point limit, which the concept is easy. It makes it easy to eat well. And I know a lot of individuals that have had really good success with Weight Watchers, but that is a low calorie type diet. And
Actually,
then you
like just not to interrupt you, but Weight
right.
Watchers actually has been around so long and has had so many proven results. A lot of times in medical literature, we will, refer patients to Weight Watchers because it has proven results. Not
Yeah,
as a
I
plug for
get
Weight
it.
Watchers.
No, I mean, I when I had a health coaching client, she my health coaching was more on the mindset side of things, and I told her, just find a diet plan that works for you. And she said, well, in the past I've lost weight on Weight Watchers, like 50 pounds or more. And I said, well, go back to Weight Watchers, let's double down on what works.
Right.
And she went back to Weight Watchers, and with the mindset coaching that I was doing, it, that part plus the Weight Watchers, was a win-win, and she lost a bunch of weight again. So it really worked. It works for people. And you have Oprah's and all these different people. Tamla Mann, I believe, has done or is doing Weight Watchers, and you'll see most of the famous people, they'll become ambassadors, which is good. I mean, if I was a famous person and I wanted to lose weight, I'd be an ambassador too, because they give you all the free food you want. you know So I think that's a smart business decision. So, but yeah, so that's low calorie. Then we went through the low carb Atkins, South Beach. Atkins kind of got a bad rap for a long time, especially when its founder passed away. And they said he passed away because he didn't eat anything but meat. So those were the old wives' tales. I don't think that's true,
Right.
but he did have some heart issues or something, from my understanding, that he did pass away with. You guys can fact check me on that, because I'm not exactly sure. But South Beach, I think, to me, any of these are not necessarily the worst diets. It's all within moderation. But there's some people that live by that, and they've had really good results. So I think that's good. And then you have some low fat type diets, and you can kind of look. Most of the low calorie are low fat for the most part, so we can group them all in the same category. Now, the next category, we talked about belief based calorie and weight control, crash diets. And these are the diets you hear the most about all the time. So, what are crash diets? They're typically very low calorie diets used for the purpose of very, very fast weight loss. So, they can have extreme and to very rapid changes of food consumption, and the eating habits that they push you into are typically not good. So, what are some examples? I'm sure you all that are listening can say some examples of crash diets right there. But the cabbage soup diet. How many people have heard of that?
Right.
And
Well,
Dr. Lauren, I know you know that one because our mom would do that one.
yeah, but I mean, inherently it would work because all you're doing is eating soup, and
Well,
you're
vegetables is
reducing
like
your
that.
caloric
So
intake. So I don't know about you can't live by that, but you're reducing your caloric intake. It's almost like the green smoothie diet. I know we've heard of that, right? Those kind of
yeah,
things.
yeah. Yeah, and I didn't even put that one on here, but that is kind of a crash diet, because you can't live 25 years on the green smoothie diet
Not at all.
or the cabbage soup diet. So it can give you a jump start on your weight loss, because some people need that, because even our people that have bariatric surgery, that's literally just a jump start on weight loss, and there's other added things to help you. but you still
Mm-hmm.
have to do some work before you get the surgery and after, especially with how you eat.
Right. Right. I don't know. Just for me personally, I can't even stand to have leftovers after a day or two. So I can't even imagine eating the same thing for a whole
Yeah,
entire week. I'm just not built that way.
yeah, I don't think most people are built that way. That's why people can't stay on that diet for any length of time, or they'll get on it, they'll lose a bunch of weight, and then they'll go back to regular eating and gain it all back and then some,
Right.
which is what we call yo-yo dieting. So I don't think most people don't have enough discipline to do it for long enough that they can bounce into just a healthier eating regimen.
Right.
So, what we do know is yo-yo dieting is not good for your body at all. So to do that when you have some event coming up, you're getting married, you got this, you got pictures, you got whatever, and you got to lose 20 pounds in a week. And I've heard of people doing that.
Right.
That's not good for your body. That's not good for your metabolism. That's not good for anything. So another one that example of a crash one is the Subway diet.
Ah, good old. Well, I'm not gonna say his name, but yeah. but I guess. Well, explain what you mean by the Subway diet, because I know the ones when you're looking at the actual fast food restaurant and you're ordering different subs that have different nutritional content and what have you. So you're not actually eating the same things in that you're eating one particular food all the time. It's just you're eating that sandwich, and that could be a variety of different things. So you could be doing that at
Well,
home and not necessarily doing Subway. But yeah, explain the Subway diet.
before I'll explain Subway, I'll explain meal replacement.
There you
So,
go.
you guys know I'm a research person, so I've done all the research on this in my years as a health educator. Meal replacement diets are research bound, evidence based that say that they work. So anytime
Mm-hmm.
you're replacing a whole meal with something of a lower calorie or more nutritionally dense type food, you're going to lose weight, whether it be Slim Fast, cabbage soup, Subway sandwiches, whatever it is. But this is with the caveat that you're already eating a very high calorie meal. So let's say you're supposed to have like 25 or 3,000 calories as a round number, 3,000 calories a day, yet your meals are 1,500 calories. So that's not going to work because if you eat three meals a day, you already 1,500 calories over. So when you do meal replacement, you're supposed to be at 3,000 calories, or 3,000 calories will help you to lose a certain amount of weight, but you're really at 6. If you replace a couple of those meals, those 1,500 calories, with something that's 400 calories on an extended period of time, you're going to lose weight.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry unless you have like other issues and things that are going on with metabolism, insulin, those types of things. And those are reasons why some people can do one type of diet and lose all this weight, and then another person will do it and it won't work because they might have some hormonal issues, insulin issue, all these things that are holding the weight on them. Stress, whatever it is, they can have all these precipitating factors that are prohibiting that diet from doing what it's supposed to do, which we'll get into our next point when we talk about how you need to see your doctor
Right.
before you go
Right.
into any type of diet plan.
Right. And I just wanted to hit on any type of diet. Really, there's some safety concerns that you should look at too, of course. Before beginning any of these things, you need to have your annual physical exam. You need to get your blood work done just to see what's going on at a baseline level. But you really need to be careful to not get so obsessed with some of these components of these diets. So, some things that I kind of picked out just because of, that seem to give you some warning signs regarding if the diet is going too far is one, if you're not getting enough calories. And I think you just hit on this as well. I think USDA or governmental standards really define how many calories you should be getting for your age and your activity level. And for, most people between the ages of 20 to 40, or so, you should be getting, if you're living a sedentary lifestyle, it's about 1,800 calories or so. If you have a mild activity, it's all about, it's almost into the 2000s or so. But, you know, there's some diets that are so restrictive where you're not getting your enough calories, and you can have symptoms of headaches, dizziness, weakness, things like that, that is your body's way of telling you, you need to slow down. I need the proper nutrients. And also, if you have those very restrictive diets, again, you're not getting all the nutrition that your body needs, especially if you're not supplementing with any minerals or what have you through pills or liquids like that. And then also, you have to look at the mental part of it as well. Are you obsessing over foods? Is every minute of the day concentrated on what I have to eat? What do I have to do today? You know, that alone will cause stress, and it's improper dieting if you're going to diet.
Right. And what you're doing when you have stress, you're counteracting the diet anyway by your hormones. Because
Exactly.
having that stress response is going to cause you to hold fat. Anyway, I know we have a show coming up in the next few months about stress, but your hormones will get to working, and you'll have the fight and flight. All these different things get to going when you're stressed. And if you live in a constant state of stress, it's hard for you to lose weight because of the way your body was made up. So definitely what I'll do, what Dr. Lauren was talking about, there is actually a formula to figure out the opportune number of calories that you need in your diet. And there's some links that I can put in, or calories you need, I say in your diet, but in your eating regimen. So for some people, based on, like she said, their activity level and who they are, body, everything like that, it could be 3,000, some it could be 2,000, whatever it is. So I'll find that link and I'll put it in the show notes so you all can have a good indication. I know at times people use the body mass index, BMI, and that's not necessarily the best measure just because it doesn't account for muscle. And then there's an assortment of other things that it doesn't account for. There's another way, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but when you get in the water, Lauren, do you know when you get in the water and they account for your fat levels and things like that? I'll have to look that up and what
Yeah.
that's called.
But I will say, as a physician, we're looking at your BMI.
Of
and
course
and I
not.
know there's some, no, exactly. I'm telling you, it's a hard fast rule, and of course there's some there's some caveats to it. But if you're in specific ranges, counting as underweight, average, obese, or morbid obese, we're looking at those numbers. But I would use it as a range. So if you're in the range of obesity or morbid obesity, you know, you already know you have a problem, right? So,
Yeah, most
I mean,
people that
sometimes people
are, they know.
exactly. So, but that's what we're raging it on. And your BMI is so important just because the higher your BMI, the more at risk you are for certain diseases or what we call comorbidities. Say you're morbidly obese, you have a higher risk of heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, hyperlipidemia, which is high cholesterol, and another slew of conditions. So having a higher BMI puts you at risk of those things.
Yeah, I used to teach that metabolic syndrome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
All those
exactly.
things fall into that metabolic syndrome. That's the technical term for that. Yeah, so BMI chart, that's a good starting place. But me being on the health education side, I know that with a BMI chart, you could have a weight lifter or someone. For me, I was always
Right.
not correct on the BMI because I carried muscle. So
Me
my
too.
BMI would always say overweight when
Mhm.
I wasn't. So yeah, so you just, like she said, have to take it with a grain of salt. But someone that don't have muscle and you on that obese side, I mean, you have an indication that something's, not right, because generally there'll be other things that are coming up like high blood pressure, or you're right on the line, pre-diabetic, you're sugar. There's other things that just kind of go along with carrying a lot of weight on your body. And
Mhm.
those are what you need to pay attention to. And your doctor will tell you. And some of us are scared to go to the doctor because we know what they're going to say.
Right. But then you also have to look at the other extreme as well. When your BMI is less than 19, which is classifies you as underweight. And, you're not at that point where you're putting on calories, but you keep on losing because of the things that you eat or not eating at proper times or not getting enough nutrients and calories really to sustain your energy level. So you got to look at both extremes.
Right. Yeah. It's on both sides because some people need to gain weight, like you were saying, and need to do it in a healthy way, not just
Right.
eat McDonald's all day.
French fries.
And French
And
fries and things like that.
that's another good point. You could be vegetarian, but if you're eating just French fries and chips and all that kind of stuff, that's not good.
Yeah, there are a lot of unhealthy vegetarians out there, and I
Right.
laugh because I'm like, you say you're vegetarian, yet all you eat are cakes and cookies and chips.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not good. It's not good.
So, yeah, it looks like you're addicted to something else, right? You're not eating that many vegetables. So, at any rate, so we talked about, and I will answer the question. Subway diet is a crash diet where a person consumes Subway sandwiches in place of a high calorie fast food. So the guy that made it famous was Jared, and he lost 245 pounds after replacing his meals with Subway sandwiches. Is trying to lose weight, and I believe he kept the weight off, so it worked for him. And it is a crash diet because I don't know anybody that can do that, maintain that. Maybe they can if they're already eating out a lot. I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
Another type of diet is detox diet. So that's like fasting to detoxify, to flush out substances that are unhelpful and harmful. I know, being on the nutrition side, I do know that some nutritionists kind of controversial. They don't necessarily believe that detox diets are needed, that your gut will automatically detoxify your body, which if you look at the science, it kind of leans towards that. But some people live by these detox diets, the smoothie detox, juice fasting, all of these things,
Apple
cleanses.
cider vinegar.
I don't know. So Dr. Lynn, what do you think about detoxing?
Well, I look at most people are constipated anyway. So any kind of seriously. So and constipation is not just having you might have bowel movements and be constipated, but they might be hard and painful. That means you're constipated. So I mean, if you have a normal functioning gut, okay, I might say you might not need as much of a detox, but most people don't. So if detox helps you with gut health, I'm all for it. So
Well, to me, I mean, you could just drink some prune juice or take some X-Lax and take care of that, or take a stool softener on a regular.
ah
I don't think you need to necessarily do a whole detox diet to get your stool soft. That's me, but
yeah, but and I think detox comes in that whole realm of fasting, which I am a strong proponent for. And there's continuing research and data going out on this topic as we speak. But let's go back to the Bible. God wants us to have a regular time of prayer and fasting. So if you're thinking detox in the realm of fasting, yeah, I agree with it wholeheartedly. And a lot of people, again, we talked about fasting, I think a couple of shows ago. But some people, if they're restricting themselves from food, they'll also add in maybe like water, lemon, ginger, that kind of thing, cayenne pepper. I don't see anything wrong with that. It's just, again, it's in moderation, and you need to check out with your doctor, of course, if the fast is right for you or if you should be doing it.
yeah. And the other side of that with detoxing, there's certain. I love tea. I have always loved tea. I'm not a coffee drinker, but a tea drinker, and certain teas naturally detoxify. So if you drink a ginger tea every day, a green tea every day, it's gonna really help with your gut health just anyway. So it's a natural detoxifant. But some people, y'all can argue about it in the group, but some people, Facebook groups, and we'll talk about that. But some people will live and die by this not die, hopefully, but they live by detox diets. I have an issue with the juice one just because, I'm not a sugar proponent. I am a sugar opponent, and juice has an extremely high sugar content, even the vegetable juice. So I don't know that having a whole diet consuming juice is the best for everyone. for your blood sugar levels. I don't think so, but that's me. So those are things that we definitely, even when people do those smoothie cleanses and things, it's all juice. So a lot of sugar, unless I guess maybe people do some sugar-free stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and again, if you're doing smoothies, you're actually, I would hope that you're blending the whole fruit, so you have that sugar that's coupled with fiber. So I don't know, it helps with the
Yeah.
gut help, and it's not as in concerning for insulin and diabetes resistance. That fiber will help your body to metabolize those carbohydrates a lot better. So, I can see it in that regard. But again, it's one of those things. You're not supposed to be living off these things all the time. You need a well balanced diet that includes, if you want to drink your veggies, fine, but put some foods in there too, not just the
Yeah.
liquids.
Yeah, no, I get it. I definitely get it. Okay, we got to kind of rock and roll because we are over time, but I think this is good information, so we're just gonna flow with it. So you got medical based diet. So those are things like the DASH diet, and I'm sure those individuals that have hypertension, high blood pressure, in other words, have heard this term before. But that's a diet that helps with individuals that are prone to high blood pressure or have it.
So
So
DASH
it's
stands
eating.
for, you got it.
Okay, dietary approaches to stop hypertension.
There you go.
So I know doctors know that by heart because these are the diets they recommend, the DASH diet. So, and
Hmm.
then because it's a proven diet that works, but it's large quantities of fruits, vegetables, grains, low fat dairy foods as part of their diet, non sweetened things or sugar sweetened things, um, and avoiding red meat and fats. And this is actually promoted by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, so the government with the DASH diet. So if you are, but what I see individuals do, and it hurts my heart literally when I see it, is when they don't even taste their food and all they do is putting salt on it. I'm like, you don't even know if it doesn't have salt on it, and you're just
Hmm.
give me the salt, and I'm like, are you serious right
Hmm.
now? Okay. And the first time I saw somebody do that, I was like, wow. Do you know what I almost wanted to tell her, do you know what you just did?
It's not even salty. You don't even know. You
I
don't
know
even
I
know.
didn't want to get slapped that day, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I kept my thoughts to myself.
Mm.
But other medical based diets, and Dr. Lauren, you can add to this diabetic diet, which is kind of umbrella term for different diets. Elimination diet is for individuals. Generally, where I've heard it used is when they have some type of allergy and they're just trying to
Mhm.
identify what they're allergic to. So
Right.
they take out certain foods by process of elimination. You have gluten free, which most people know about that. The kidney diet, even a ketogenic diet, is
Mhm.
shown to help people with epilepsy.
Epilepsy. Yep.
There you go. And I've also heard it helps with seizures. Well, that's
Yep. No,
epilepsy.
well,
Autism.
epilepsy,
Autism. That's what it was.
no, I'm sorry. I was about to say epilepsy is seizure disorder, but you're right.
Right.
Actually, that's the first time I ever heard. This is way back years ago that I ever heard of ketogenic diet before. The recent fame with people who don't have seizure disorder, but we used to use it all the time for folks who did have seizure disorder, and it's been proven to decrease the amount of seizures in individuals who get this diet or whatnot.
Yeah. So I have a ketogenic lifestyle, a modified ketogenic lifestyle, and it was for hormone purposes, and I love it. Of course, it's modified, so it's not that very, very little amount of carbohydrates, but it is ketogenic in nature to help with insulin levels. And a byproduct of that, I lost like 30 something pounds just from being on it. But my goal on it wasn't to lose weight; it was to kind of balance out my hormones and things. So, I love it. And for me, carbs were issues, sugars were issues. So with that diet, it takes all of that out. So I know I feel a lot better on that than any other eating regimen I've ever been on. So I'm a proponent too. I know some people don't believe in it at all, but I think there's always healthy ways. You got to make certain eating regimens work for who you are in your body, and mine was under the guidance of a doctor, meaning they gave me the eating regimen in paper and they were monitoring it as I was going, as I was on it. So that's a lot different than somebody that's just jumping into something just to lose weight. I don't know if that's the most healthy thing to do. So we're going to liquid diet is one, soft diet. Liquid diet is usually for medical reasons, for like gastric bypass or different things like that. Soft diet, those are all the medical ones. Dr. Lauren, is there anything that you can think of that's more of a medical one that you use?
No, I think we hit most of them. And really, unless you have specified conditions, we try to get away from specific diets and more adopting a healthy eating regimen and lifestyle overall rather than specified diets. So if you go to your physician and you're wanting to lose weight, of course he's going to get, or he or she is going to give you maybe a list of foods and things that you can eat that are more healthier, but it's really in a respect to actually changing your lifestyle rather than doing a temporary diet, which we're going to talk about next.
Right, yeah. The last few ones that we have are fad diets, which we kind of talked through some of those. So that's more of the trendy ones that's popular for a small amount of time, but it's not necessarily a standard dietary recommendation. So that kind of is like the cabbage soup, grapefruit diet. Some have heard of that, different iterations of that, meaning that you eat grapefruit with every meal or an extreme amount of grapefruit with every meal. Alkaline diets, blood type, eat right for your blood type. That was a book that's considered a fad diet. Things like that, which some people do, and there's so many of those. Cookie diet, baby food diet, like all this stuff.
All I know is anytime that you are restricting yourself from, okay, if you restrict yourself from fast food, that's great. That's a good thing. From chips and quote unquote junk food, that's great. But if you're restricting yourself from a food that would otherwise be okay to eat, I guess okay is a relative term, but if you're restricting yourself in such a way that you're depriving your body, that's not good. It's not good. So I think,
Right.
even a mindset, when I think of diet, I think of I think I've said this before, like even within that word is diet. I don't want to diet. I want to live it. Meaning I want to, I want to, what is it? Eat to live instead of live to eat. I know that's cliche, but we have to really have just a kind of holistic perspective on what you're putting in your body. So diets are very unreasonable. They're very restricted. They're very limited. And I think people come into bondage underneath diet, quote unquote.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. That's so true. So true. And then lastly, in this particular topic, you have other ways of eating, like clean eating. Some of you all have heard that's eating all whole foods, not eating packaged foods that are genetically modified, things like that. And then you have ways of eating like the Mediterranean diet, things like that, that have been proven to be more healthy than other ways of eating. So those are all considered diets. But with any of these things, hopefully, prayerfully, you will do the most healthy thing for your body, but consistency is always the issue in whatever you do. So whatever you can't necessarily keep up and live as a lifestyle, you might want to put it on the shelf. It might not be for you.
Right. And I think a lot of times, if you're really trying to change your dietary habits, and that's really what it is, just your habits, you got to start slow. I mean, some people can do cold turkey, but that's not most. You need to find some healthy habits that are going to fit into the lifestyle that you have, or you need to make changes in your lifestyle so that it can fit in those healthy habits. Like, for example, I think in one of our other podcasts, we talked about sleep. And we talked a little bit about exercise, but you have to find some time within the day where you're not all rush, stress. So you can sit down, enjoy your meal. And I'd say even so, if you find yourself that you're always eating out, you've got to find some time to actually cook your own meals, save yourself some money, and then you'll know exactly what's going into those foods. Why? Because you made it yourself.
Right. And then if you don't have time and you do have the money to do it, you can get a meal service. And they'll send the
Mm-hmm.
food right to you and you put it in the oven and that's it. They have meal services where You can either cook the food or the food comes cooked, all these things. And if you're already eating out every day, that meal service is going to be cheaper
Yep. And you can get
and it's going to be
organic
more healthy.
food too. You can get organic food with that. You can try to switch it up a little bit. I think there are so many things that we have in our modern world that make healthy eating achievable. You just have to research and see what's affordable for you, what's in, what would work best for you and your household.
Right. And then there is definitely a place for meal prep and planning your meals so that when you go out, you're not stuck, that you're not able to, you have to eat out. So you can bring food with you. There's a lot of things you can do. It does take planning though. But I'll put some links in the show notes around some good meal prep services that you all can utilize. And I know there's some I can grab some links where they can give you some coupons and things like that. I know HelloFresh does it. I found some ones that were keto, of course, what I was looking for. There's some other ones as well. There's a bunch out there that people swear by, and they're willing to pay the extra price of it. And it's really not an extra price; it's just upfront price, meaning that you're paying $8 or $10 for your meal when you're already paying that much at the fast food place. But at least you know for sure that you're going to be eating something that's healthy for you. So definitely we can check that out and look in the show notes for that. But before we move on to talking through some of the ways that diets are, different types, I do want to let you all know I talked about our Facebook group where the conversation is still going on. It's called The Collective on Facebook. It's our private Facebook group called God Still Heals Collective. And in the group, we go deeper in helping you build your faith for divine health and healing. And we can talk about some of these issues. We can post questions and all different types of things. So definitely click the link in the show notes or search God Still Heals Collective on Facebook.
Okay.
So we're going to finish up, or try to finish up. We got two more topics and we're going to try to rock and roll through them in these last 15 minutes. So there's different types of diets. Dr. Lauren, you talked about some of them. Well, really there's just two, temporary and long-term.
Mm-hmm. And, I think that more so what I'm a stronger proponent of is the long-term lifestyle change. And I see that, because if it's a long term thing and you have it ingrained in your mind, healthy eating or portion control or decreasing the amount of processed foods, you actually will pass that down to your children and those that are around you as well. So it's not like you're striving because you're fighting against something that you want. It's more so you're changing your mind. It's almost like renewing your mind with the word of God. You're renewing your palate and your taste buds and just your habits so that you're living a more healthier lifestyle.
Yeah, that's Romans 12:2, renewing your mind, 12:1 and 2 actually. And I'm always a proponent of the lifestyle. I think a temporary dietary change is for a temporary situation. Maybe you have surgery for something and you can only do liquids, or maybe, that's where I think temporary dieting should go.
Mm-hmm.
You can only have liquids, or your NPO, which means I never remember. Dr. Lauren, what does NPO? Nothing by mouth or something.
Just say you can't eat.
I just know it's
You
called
can't
NPO.
eat.
I don't know what it
It's in the
stands for. I
hospital.
just know right. You can't eat anything, and even ice, they look at you side eye. When you come in there and you said you ate some ice.
Yeah.
So definitely, to me, that is the epitome of a temporary dietary change, that it can safely be done for a short amount of time. So with lifestyle, everything that you just said, even when I was doing health coaching, I would always tell them to make small incremental changes, meaning that, okay, can you get rid of the soda? Can you stop?
Right.
Maybe instead of 3 sodas a day, go down to 2 sugar sodas. That is, so things like that, very simple things. Because at time, there's a book that talks about, I believe it's Atomic Habits, but there's a book that talks about small wins, and so
Mm-hmm.
you need to make and get some small wins, and all those small wins will help you and give you confidence to know you'll be able to do the larger thing.
So I think, because this is just, I'm just thinking of folks who, they're dieting for specific things. Like, I'm trying to get married. I want to fit into this dress. It's my birthday coming up. But really, what we're asking you to do is think in the long term, so you won't have to crash diet 2 to 3 weeks before your event, or even go as far as in to get plastic surgery. There's nothing wrong with plastic surgery. I'm okay. There's nothing wrong with getting a tummy tuck or anything like that. But if you're trying to get a quick fix without even trying to change your diet habits, I mean, you'll get the procedure, but you'll look around a couple years later, you have the same issue because you haven't really hit the
Right.
root problem.
Or worse, the fat goes somewhere else, because some of those plastic surgeries, you're not gonna get fat in that area again, but you're gonna get it at other places because they're
Yeah.
taking out the fat cell literally. But
Yeah.
you have to have a better eating regimen, even with those surgeries and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yep.
to me, the weight loss that's healthier when it comes to surgery are individuals that have done all that they can do in the
Right.
natural, and then it's like, okay, I had a baby and this is just not going to change unless I get the tummy tuck. I know people that are like that, and I'm like, hey, you got the money, more power to you.
Mm-hmm.
If it's
Yep.
going to make you, feel better about how you look, I'm all for that as well. I'm more into don't go into the poorhouse. Use every piece of money that you have to get it as a way of you just looking to build up your self-esteem and things like that. It has to, one, be within reason, and two, you have to legitimately be able to actually afford it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side of that is those that get the bariatric surgery, where to me, if you are in a life and death situation and you getting that surgery is going to help you, you need to get it.
Please.
Point blank, period. All day. I will not tell you to go to the gym and do all this stuff. If you are morbidly obese and a surgery would help get you kickstart your body into some things, because even with those surgeries, they tend to put you in counseling and things like that as well. So they'll deal with the mindset issues that maybe got you there. So, and we'll talk more about that in the next show when we talk about emotional eating. So, definitely that's something that just do it, because I've seen people that didn't do it and they end up passing away. And if they would have done that, they might be here to still be here for people, for their families and things. So it's definitely something we need to pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing around lifestyle that I would say is I believe there should be some type of structure to your eating patterns and habits. And when you're living a certain very structured eating lifestyle, you have to leave room for what some people call cheat days, or days or times when you don't necessarily follow your exact pattern. I mean, I believe in that. Nobody's a robot. So I believe if you want a piece of cake and you eat normal the rest of the time, you follow your eating, eat the piece of cake, keep it moving. It's not going to kill you. Don't eat it every single day. But if it's your birthday or you just feel like you want to eat something that's outside of what, you normally eat, do it. I know
Mm-hmm.
some people don't believe that, but I do. You got to
Yeah.
follow the natural rhythm of your appetite.
Yeah, I agree too. I mean, and especially in our culture, we tend to celebrate around food. So I get the most people that come back and say, oh, well, the holidays, I overdid it. And, I mean, I understand, but holiday, Thanksgiving is one day. Christmas is one day. You might have some leftovers, but you can't tell me that you've had over the winter time. People are a little bit more sedentary, but you can't blame one day holiday for like 15-pound weight gain. Like if you're
Okay.
celebrating that, if you celebrate, no, and I tell my patients this: if you celebrating that one day, tighten it up the days before and tighten it up the days afterwards. With your eating habits or whatnot, just to make up for that one day. But don't go overboard. Like have that piece of cake, but don't have the whole cake.
Right. Exactly. And if you feel the need, if your dieting or your eating plan is so restrictive that you feel like you have to eat the whole cake, you need to look to something different, because that's not the eating plan for you.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you
And
should
then
not. You
again,
should not feel like that.
And then again, I've said this before, by doing it in moderation and letting yourself cheat, you don't put all this mental pressure on yourself and you're not being so obsessive about the diet and causing all this stress that makes you want to not do it. And when you fail, because if you're so restrictive, you probably will, you
Yes.
won't give up and not try to attempt anything again.
Right. And then I also say for individuals, when I've coached them in the past, okay, so you want to go from eating fast food 2 or 3 times a day, not really eating vegetables and doing this, and then you wanna do, like, the zone diet or keto. That diet is too restrictive for you. You need to start small. And I
Mm-hmm.
see that happen, and then people fail, and I'm like, "'Cause you set yourself up for failure. You went from eating crazy to being a vegetarian." You went from eating junky all the time to doing this. The other thing that I've done in the past is I'll do a certain type of diet, like you'll have vegetable days where all you eat is you eat like a vegan or a vegetarian certain days out of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that will help you and get your body used to not you restricting your body from everything that you want. Even going back to fasting, that will help you too. We just talked about that last episode. So you need to train your body almost like a muscle to be able to do certain things, and you won't have such a hard fall when you try to eat a very structured eating regimen that's very just very can be restrictive at times, but you'll set yourself up for winning, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yep, I agree. I agree.
So, and to me, that's logic as well. So, we need to choose what works for you. And how you do that is going to the doctor. We've said it already. Get your blood work, be knowledgeable about your body and your health. Pray, choose a eating lifestyle or regimen that will work with how you're wired. Other things, research the different types of eating plans, know your family history, know generational dispositions, historical things that go on. If there's things and temptations, whether it can be a spiritual, generational type curse thing, whatever it is, know about those things so that you can uh, do things that are opposite. That if you have type 2 diabetes, everybody in your family, people are literally dying because of it. You might need to watch that. No, I'm not here to say that it's spiritual or if it's just natural, but either way, there's things you can do to not be a type 2 diabetic.
Mm-hmm.
I know Dr. Warren knows all about that and would also say the same thing. There's things that you can do if high blood pressure runs in your family. What are some of the
Mm-hmm.
other ones?
Right. I
Um,
think those are the major two. And, we call those like the silent killers, more so high blood pressure. Just because if you're having symptoms from high blood pressure, which would be like headaches, chest pain, acute visual changes, that's too late. Okay. Or you're already a lot far gone. You should not, a lot of times, high blood pressure will creep up on you if you're not checking out for it, if you're not going to the doctor, if you're not even going to health fairs, or even go to the not gas station, you can go to the convenience store now. They've got blood pressure monitors. But if you know that that tends to happen in your family, or it tends to happen to people with your same body structure, weight, height, lifestyle, you need to really be aware of that and make the strides, and the take the make the necessary arrangements in your habits to make sure you're counteracting that, and don't let that fall by the wayside. Don't ignore something like that. And I always say, do what you know to do. You're not supposed to have all that salt. I hate to
okay.
harp on people. You already know. You should have had that second, third helping. And if that's a temptation, if you don't have the willpower to do that, you need to pray about that. You need to pray about it, because
Deliverance.
right, because needless to say, if you're being tempted in this area, you're probably being tempted in the other areas outside of food that you can't handle either. So just humble yourself and let's just get it together.
Now the doctor sounding like a preacher. Yes, and amen.
I'm trying not to be
So,
on people's heads, but sometimes it's just like enough is enough. Like, cut the crap. Let's be real with ourselves.
yeah, and that's reality. I know when my blood pressure was going up because of stress and things like that, I bought blood pressure cuffs for the house, for the church, wherever I was at. And
Right.
I got an app and I measured that thing like, and I kept trends and I was able to give the doctor, okay, in the last 3 weeks, here are my trends. But,
Mm-hmm.
that's a
Mm-hmm.
very unique thing being a health person. But I will put some in the show notes. I will put the app that I use that was very good. But if blood pressure is an issue for you, you need to be like that. You need to be vigilant about your own health. They have apps out there. They have even, I had a blood pressure cuff that was connected to an app where when I did the blood pressure, it automatically loaded it to the app. So all I had to do when I went into the doctor was open up the app and say, "What's your email?" And I'll send you my last 3 weeks of blood pressures, morning and night.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do that with blood pressure. You can do that with blood sugar. There's so many things that you can do and be an advocate for your own health, because you don't want to have to walk into a doctor's office after they've warned you that you're pre-diabetic, or they've warned you that you have blood pressure issues, and then you do not heed those warnings, and 2 or 3 years down the line it's gotten worse. Yes, God can heal, because we know God still heals,
Right.
but we need you to add some wisdom and help him out. Don't have all these open doors for the enemy to continually attack you. It's like you're saying, God, heal me, and God closes and locks the door. And then by the natural things that you do, you take that key out, you unlock it, and the devil waiting on the other side of that door. And you like, come on in, devil.
Mm-hmm. And then I don't want to this show get into a lot of, well, don't do this, don't do that, but you got to look at the other side of that. Getting or having a healthier eating regimen, you're going to give yourself more energy. Your thoughts are not going to be as clouded, and you're going to, if you're looking to get a desirable weight that you want to hit, you're going to hit it faster.
Yeah. Just as a byproduct of you doing the right things. So that
Mm-hmm.
goes into just praying, asking the Lord for guidance and help. And sometimes guidance and help will come in the form of a book. It could come in the form of a podcast. We are here to help.
Right. Your
We are
prescription for health.
your confirmation right now. Yeah. So I mean, but we have to just see what the Lord's trying to do in our lives, and that the other side of that is that God definitely wants us to complete the plan and the purpose that He has for our lives. Most times, it's very difficult to do that when you're dealing with sickness and disease. So it's part of what He's called you to do. He wants you to prosper, and the Bible says, "Be in health as your soul prospers, your mind, will, and emotion." So we need to get in obedience and take care of this gift of life and this gift of the body that we have. The last thing I had was about, some of us have to relearn how to eat to live, and we need to eat with life-giving food. Some of us have never been taught how to eat properly, never been taught to drink water, basic things. So there might be some research that you have to do, because if you're having sleep issues, if you're having heart palpitations, some of the things we've talked about in other episodes, if you're having all these things and then you don't go to doctor, or you do go to doctor and they give you a laundry list of, yeah, you need to work on these things. Sometimes it has to do with you learning how to eat again. And that's just the reality of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, before we go, I do want to remind you guys this episode is sponsored by Agape Life Clothing. So, check them out at agapelifeclothing.com. The link is in the show notes. Get you some faith gear that represents who you are and what you believe. But before we go, do you have Dr. Lauren, any closing thoughts about this topic? We are way over, but I think it's good information.
Right. I would just say, just make sure whatever you do, and we're using the term eating regimen rather than diet, and we're using the term lifestyle, rather than something that's very restrictive. Pray about that, go see your doctor, and then just do it. Do the consistency, do whatever you have to do to be successful.
No, that's good. Good. And what I would say is focus on the small wins, and God knows your body. So seek Him for wisdom concerning your body. We talked about in past episodes learning how to hear the voice of God. So seek Him and what He tells you to do. And even if it's scary, and even if you don't like going to your doctor, find a doctor that has a better bedside manner, a Christian doctor, whatever you need to do, because you only have one life to live.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to make the best of it. You're only given one life here on earth. So make the best of it. So, in saying all that, we have not exhausted this topic, but this is a big
Way
topic.
over
So,
time.
right, this could have been 2 episodes, but I think I'm going to keep it all in one versus doing 2 separate episodes. But we literally could have done two different episodes. So we're going to keep it as one. It'll just be an extra long episode, and then we're going to talk more another phase or another part of this when we come back next week. We're going to be talking about emotional eating or stress eating and what that looks like, and because that's very connected to what we are talking about right now. So that's going to be good. We're trying to hit on things and things that people are dealing with and things that we see each in the areas that we work in. We both are in the people business in different realms of it. So we're attempting to talk through and give you some professional counsel, advice, however you want to say it, wisdom and guidance regarding these issues. So thank you so much for tuning in. We look to hear from you, or we look to talk to you again next week. Make sure you go on and help the show out by leaving us a review, subscribing, so you can always be notified about when we're live. If you do the text, if you do, I believe, I already forget, but it's in the show notes what you can text, because I have a different text things that you can utilize, but you can get on saying all that. You can get on our email list, and you'll be really notified by email when we have a new show. So
Yeah, and
saying all that,
share. If you're on
yes,
Facebook or social media outlets, share. I've already gotten really good feedback from folks I know, but if you like it, you think this will help someone or is helping yourself, please share. Share the good wealth. Share the good news.
yes, yes, because this is definitely a passion project, something we would believe in, and we started this because we didn't see anybody else speaking in these areas. Uh, integrating God into it, and really showing how this thing works with Him. So, in saying all that, thank you so much once again, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Prescription for Divine Health podcast. To continue the conversation of living a healthy and whole lifestyle, head over to our website at drandreaiheart.com, or you can join our exclusive free Facebook group, the God Still Heals Collective with Dr. Andrea. To connect, text God Heals to 77948.